Hello fans of Marvel heroes and friends of my channel, my name is Wilfred and welcome to yet another episode of the Hero Design Review and Build Ideas. I walk through what the hero can do, give you some idea of how to build the heroes, and you can confidently create the heroes of your own. So that is the goal of all these mini-series. Now, a lot of you ask me if I could do a video for Taskmaster, and I always like to take a look at some of the heroes you guys been asking. And also for Taskmaster, he was one of my favorite before the biggest update ever because he was very durable. He could face tank a lot of hard content back then, and also without all the movement, kind of like a hindrance like what we have these days. I find him very agile back in the past. So I've taken a look at his new toolkit, and so in this video I'm going to walk through with you my thoughts on him, how he could be improved, and also I'm going to go through some mathematics behind the first tier of talents, because in the first tier of talents you could pick like defense, doctor, or the flat card buff. I walk through mathematics and I'll show you what are the differences between the couple of them, because I think while the game always tune by itself, all this power get nerf and buff and nerf and buff, some of these defensive stats probably stay as it is. So I spend some time on that one. And also I'm going to play some cosmic terminal for you, walk through with you the power and trade and so on. Okay, now let's go back to how I feel about Taskmaster. Is that I think I'm kind of disappointed. Perhaps not disappointed, kind of shocked that he was being released in this kind of current state after the biggest update ever. Because the mistakes of the flaws that if you look at him, just take a look at him, the design perspective is very obvious. Something just doesn't add up. And if I could ask Gazillion one question, would be, why would they release Taskmaster in this current state? Because unless I'm making some huge mistake somewhere, I feel that things doesn't add up for him. Now, why do I say that? If you play other heroes, each hero will have two archetypes. Rogue is a bit special, but most of the majority of the heroes out there, two archetype. Each archetype kind of like attribute give you 4% of the damage. So for Taskmaster, he can benefit from any attribute due to Jack of all trades, Master of none. So on paper, it's a very good concept because he is one that can copy with the photographic card memory to copy all this power and stuff like that. So that is a very interesting concept on paper. But in reality, he only benefits 1.5% on any attribute. Then you say, well, so what? Well, let's see so what, right? If you look at Infinity System, 25 points is required to gain one, say, attribute. If you are playing something that's not Taskmaster, right, every 25 points you earn through the Infinity System, which is really hard to earn sometimes, these days, you only can get 1.5% if you are Taskmaster. But if you are, say, a Spider-Man or Captain America, you earn 4%, and it's a huge difference between 1.5 and 4, right? If they were to, say, lower the cost of the Infinity System for Taskmaster to coincide with the number of the amount of percentage you gain from damage rating, then I say, well, maybe that is forgivable. But I mean, as of now, I mean, how would they actually come up with this design and put it to life? I do not know, right? So that's one question that I have. But I mean, even gear wise, then you say, wow, if I am having like a Hand of the Doom that have 3 attributes, right? Now, no heroes in this game, except Taskmaster, let's put Root aside, but Taskmaster can benefit more than 2 attributes. So you say, whoa, I look at this one, this must be for Taskmaster, right? Then you take a look at this, right? If you say, if I am a Strength, Intelligence, or Intelligent Energy heroes, I only benefit +4 attribute. +4 is 16% damage rating. So if I'm not a Taskmaster, 16% from Hand of Doom. If I'm looking at the, Taskmaster is 6 points. Now 6 points, each point only give me 1.5. That's only 9%. You see a gap there, right? So it's like, wow. You mean if I'm picking, one of the artifacts that buff more than 2 attributes, and I'm a Taskmaster, I can't benefit from it. What in the world, right? And the list continues. The only thing that probably be better is this one here, +3 to all attribute, because Now, plus 3 to all attribute means that you have 6 attribute, plus 3 to all is 18. 18 times the 1.5 would be 18 plus 9, which is 27, right? 27%. But then if you are giving it to, say, maybe Captain America, you're talking about they can only, 6 points is 24%. But it's still not that far off from this what Taskmaster can gain, right? So you end up with a character that is severely lacking in the attribute that has an impact on base damage, and regardless of how heavily you gear for crit, brutal, crit damage, brutal damage, whatnot, what have you, it will not scale up because, as I always say, the product of your base damage and whatever damage you add up onto it times multiply with the damage rating, the crit component of it will give you the overall. Of course, that's you have all the vulnerability, whatnot. But that's the point here. He's severely lacking on the attribute, not benefiting from all these things, and yet then you can see that all these things kicked in. And though there is some of this thing that I find it really, really odd about design, a little bit. I think it's a mistake. I seriously think that it is a mistake, a flaw. But what other flaw do we have, right? If we nitpick, if you look at the tier 2 talent design, right? So you have the this one into a meteor kick or whatnot means that it's a melee power. Okay, so you have 1 power on melee and 1 power on the shield, which is the which is to actually buff the shield, right? And you say that, well, I'll show you a little bit later. The rebounding shield buff actually work together with another melee as well. So this is really for melee. So this is for melee. The second one is that Legion Arrow. So Legion Arrow is range, but they transfer a range power into a powerful melee. So it is like a melee power. So this is a melee. And the third one is, well, okay, fine. We can have Dance of Dane, and then after that we have Pendragon Slice. But guess what? The range of Pendragon Slice is like super small. If you look at the range here, this one here, for example, you're looking at this range here. I mean, this is not ranged. This is melee, right? I mean, so things like that. I mean, this one should have been like a really short wave. It's a short wave. Then you can mix it to a range design and say that, okay, forget it. I mean, the second tier I can put a range. So if I play Taskmaster as a ranged, what can I do? I can't do much really. It's just like one of those designs I find really odd. Why do they have that design? Now, but that's not the end of it, right? If I take a look at the say, for example, the this tree here. I know it's a nitpicking here, but then sometimes if you're a fan, all these flavor tags mean something to you. It's not just a game, right? So you say Punisher buff defense, Luke Cage buff dodge, and Wolverine buff deflect. And I was like, what? I mean, Luke Cage unbreakable skin is to deflect. Wolverine, to me, he's a very agile hero and he dodge, right? I mean, things like this is kind of, I would, if I were the game designer, I would just put one of these into the other side and just swap the dodge and deflect for the flavor tags, right? So the list go on and on. And another one is that if I say I would like to use, say, something called evasive web bling and the spider slam, and if you look at the, it is actually synergized by talent itself. If I'm here, right, at this very point here, I'm hitting a boss probably at this range, right? Because it's a range here. So I'm hitting a boss somewhere here, right? So imagine I'm hitting a boss somewhere here. Let me just face this side, right? Okay. So I can do the kind of like swing back, and I want to go back in again. No, I can't go back to the same place. You see, because if I go back to the same place, I'll probably miss the boss, which is over here. Right? I mean, the distance itself, it could have been something that done much better. Like if I'm here, I go out from here, right? And I come back in. No, I miss like one tile, right? So in short, these two, I have to go like this and then walk in a bit and then slam in, right? Things like this make the game very tedious to play, but it is also one of the more effective kind of builds, so I'm sticking by this. Okay, so anyway, I know it's a very long speech on what I feel Taskmaster is really lacking and the kind of shock that I have on his quality. But in any case, I would like to showcase to you the next bit, which is talking about the which one of the couple of talents that should be picking and so on. All right. So if you take a look at the spreadsheet here, and I would not really go through all the details because I think some of my other video has it. So what I've done is that I break down all the multiplier and look into all the defense rating, do a what if scenario. In this case, because for Taskmaster, they can actually increase the multiplier by 10% and also increase the defect rating as well. And just to recap, all the defect rating will translate to a certain percentage that will also have a I think it's 20%, 20% and 40%. That will further go into a damage reduction. So that is a formula A here. Then all the slot 2 to 5 we have a damage reduction there. Another kind of like whole bunch of stuff here. Whether it is a melee hero, will then when you hit with melee, it comes with a number like that, and that is the overall kind of like damage reduction. And the way that I calculate the overall damage reduction is a little bit different from the game, because the game gives you an effective health, which I don't really see it as like what. So what, I have 60,000 health. If I charge by Rhino, I'm dead anyway. So kind of thing. So in a way, I'm not looking at it from that point of view. I'm looking at what happened when I'm being hit by like 100 hit point, hit by that, and when I dodge, what happened, when I deflect, what happened, when all fail, what happened, and effectively taking into consideration of the percentage of dodge and percentage of deflect, and how much am I taking damage. So I see from that perspective. So this is like a worst case scenario. So when all fails, my Taskmaster would receive a certain kind of like, percentage and so on. So I mean, I start with things that are baseline. So, if I put 0 here, instead of 1, 0, 2, 0, oops, sorry. Then this become a baseline. So my baseline is a 51.49%. When all fail, I'll take that amount of like damage, right? So lower is better. The lower is better, right? So or if I pick the first Punisher, is I think. Hang on, let me just do. So 1020. Then I'll further reduce by the 47%. 47.53% and 45.61%, which has a difference of 7.7% and 6.9%, so on. So what I've done is that I look into Punisher, Luke, and Wolverine, which is the defense, dodge, and deflect. Then how much am I getting out from it? Now, as I said, the number, the lower, the better. So 45%, of course, is better than 47%. Right. So what it really means is that regardless, if you want to build your hero strong, then you should go for the defense. Now, of course, the Luke Cage and Wolverine, they have some other mechanic as well with the combo point and so on, which I probably think that there's some trade-off going on, because in order to sort of buff some power, you have to sacrifice something. But I'm just saying that if you are unsure what's the difference and what are you trading off with, because at the end of the day, you must know trade-off from two angles, right? What are you losing and what you're gaining? So you gain some of the things that are combo point, but you lose something called maybe 1% of the overall damage, or 2.5% of the worst case scenario, right? So now, then you may say, well, Wilfred, are you sure you know what you're doing, kind of thing? So I'm going to drop this to 0 first and compare, right? So this is 44.47. I've picked this thing up. So I have 44%, right? So it is there about the rounding error or rounding or whatever it is, because I presume the way that they calculate all these things are not like the way that I do it, because here I don't round and so on, bless you. So I think in the game they do a roundup for each one of them and then they add together. So but anyway, the difference is very, very small. So if you are 8% in, then you got 52.47%. That's all it is. All right. So now with that out of the way, so now you know why I'm picking this one. And also the other reason why I picked this one is that when I play Taskmaster, I cannot imagine playing Taskmaster without the shield, because targeting in this game is a little bit hard. And it requires a little bit of skill. I don't know whether you can call it skill or not. It's just a bit of like, aiming at the mid-session of the target. So I found that it is rather interesting to have a shield. I know some people just like to mash all the cooldown and be happy with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my style is more shield. So just a quick tip by the way, is that you always aim for the mid-session. The top to bottom and the side is always mid-session, and you hit it kind of thing like this. Yeah. So, but then if you hit it like if you do it like this, then there may be a chance that you miss it. okay, it doesn't miss it, but sometimes you may miss it. So just be careful where you kind of aim to. This game is not as smart as other games that you play like ARPG, like Path of Exile or Diablo 3, whereby if you kind of like in this whole hitbox, they will know a more 3D kind of like rendition of your target. This game is very 2D. You have to count the mid session really well. Cannot be too below and stuff like that. So just some word of warning when you play him, because sometimes you do see your shield missing. But it is a very, very nice kind of like combo. Now, what do I do it with? Because with the shield, I'm getting the bleeding. So why is it important? Because with the bleeding, I can then use the shield crush with the 50% base damage to it. Like I said before, all this bonus damage is important. So first of all, you bleed the target, and after that, you can do the shield crush to it, and that's a very nice combo. And this one here, Meteor Kick, also very much like the Captain America's one. I wish they have executed to it, by the way. And basically what it does is that it refill your some pain tolerance. You see later, you lose pain tolerance as you go out there, then you can gain back. But then I found that I wish it was 50% on hit, man. Seriously, I don't. If I were a designer for him, or I would put an execute there, like 50%, like every 1% of missing health gain 1% kind of like damage. I'll actually make it that way. Okay, then another one that I'll recommend is the Spider-Man one, because it's kind of nice. But like I said before, you have to really know your space. Like where like you have to walk back in a little bit, one tile, and then go back in again. And there's a sequence to it, by the way. If you take a look at the tooltip here, is that you gain Spider Slam deal 150% more damage if you use evasive webbling within 5 seconds. Vice versa, but it's only 100% on evasive. Now evasive is a range power. Evasive is a range power, here, and the Spider Slam is a melee power. So traditionally, that range power is weaker than the melee power. Just how this game works. Don't ask me why. So you would like to have the evasive to buff the slam. Just that you have to walk that one extra tile in order to make sure you hit the target. But you have you could do the other way around and buff the evasive web sling, but then it's not worth it. I mean, look at number 25,000 versus 42,000. You probably know which one is better, right? 4-second cooldown for each one of them. So which one would you like to buff for 100%? Which one would you like to buff for 150%, right? So that's another thing that I'd like to at least get you started thinking about it. All right. So now, so we talk about tier 1, tier 2 is like there's no brainer. If you do the pain tolerance, then most likely you like to have the Meteor Kick to replenish your tolerance, and also, like I said, you need the shield to have bleeding effect so that your crush will gain 50% more damage. On the second tier though, I mean, action gain, kind of like, some buff here. I've tried this one summoning 2 other kind of like guys around you. It's not really a lot. 4,000 twice per second is not really a lot here. I don't think it's modified by the gear. I don't know. But the next one is that you actually shorten the cooldown of action, which I think is important because that is where everything is being buffed up. Action is a signature that buff things rather alright. So you would like this one to be action all the time as much as you can. Third tier wise though, I mean, if you do a range and melee kind of thing, you gain some buff to it. It is actually rather nice. I mean, this one is an option because when you do a rebounding shield, when you do a web sling and stuff like that, I mean, rebounding shield itself, depending on the number of target that you hit, you could actually stack up your range rather nicely, and you stack up your melee rather nicely as well. Spirit cost reduction is always good, and and you can maximum 3 stack, so that is like 6 stack times 2% is 12%. 12% is really nothing. It's like just 2 attribute point for other hero, but of course not for the Taskmaster. Right? So that at least walk you through this so you understand where things are. I think for single boss wise, it's very hard to maintain the shield because you don't throw the shield that often. It doesn't bounce for raid boss and stuff like that. So it may not be that effective. This one is rather interesting in a way that it adds some flavor to the game. Does it really kind of like make sense? All these things, I don't know. I mean, you could. I mean, I find it rather interesting to see when is the buff coming up and so on. Am I thinking that it's really a big deal? I mean, that's not many stands that I really like. there's some like tiger maybe quite good, and maybe leopard stance is quite good, but I don't know. I mean, that's really your choice, and also it help you with the spirit recuperation as well if you have run into problem. Last but not the least, whenever you have faced the mini boss, then you increase the damage you dealt to the target for 10 seconds. I like this idea, but I don't really like the long cooldown. So in the end, 25% for 10 seconds, even out to 30 seconds, you probably end up with less than that, right? So that's one thing, but of course you have all this like cooldown reduction and stuff like that, but I don't really have any problem with the cooldown here, because all these are like 4 seconds. I mean, how much do I gain with all this button mashing, all this animation? And actually with the animation cancellation, even Taskmasters feel a bit clunky. Last but not least though, honorable kind of like mention is this one here. I kind of like this one, right? A variation for you. If you do not like these two Spider-Man thingy that go side by side, you can remove them. You can have your web net, we give you 10% kind of like a vulnerability debuff, and also after that you can do a crop de grace from these nodes. I tried that too. It's actually not bad. It's rather fun, but I found that I want to do some movement here and there, so that's why I'm choosing this one. But this is an option, by the way, and if you choose this option, of course, then you don't need to. There's no kind of like spider. I mean, this one doesn't quite entirely makes sense, but in a way, I mean, you can't have everything. Next one is really this range build, and the last one is what I just said before. You can have the Spider-Man thing go in and out kind of thing. All right, so enough talking, and I'm going into the game and show you how it plays like in the Cosmic Terminal. Taskmaster in Cosmic Curse. I'm using pre 2.0 gear, grade 70 Gunir, and the blessing is just Odin. So take that into consideration in whatever you see. I mean, some people ask like, why am I using some of this gear that is still not that great? And the reason why is that I found, because I play I do testing on a lot of heroes, so it kind of give me some idea on where things are. Like, are they really kind of like, I can compare from hero to hero. Like for example, Beast that I've just played, and this one here. So make sure you do something like rebounding shield and hope you hit something, then you crush into there, go a kick, and after that evasive, go back in again. Action, of course, I forgot, sorry. Then you do this one in, then it's fun. It's a bit of like you have to be aware where things are and not just anyhow hit the shield there. So it's a bit of like a bit of movement here, a bit of like observation. Yeah, I mean, but the only thing is just the animation is really horrible. Sometimes I don't really get it, why this game can't get the animation right, stuff like that. Alright, so yeah, so that's it. I mean, the other thing I wish they do, right, is the buff against the boss or the enemy that has bleed. And, just put an icon there, like Path of Exile has done it. Like, you can see whether enemies are being debuffed in some way or not. It's so easy to see stuff in that game. It's just this game is so hard sometimes. Really no excuse though. I mean, it gives you a little bit of like kind of understanding of where things are, how you're doing with the bleed and so on, right? I mean, wouldn't you want to know which enemy is being bleed, which enemy is being targeted for bleeding and stuff like that? So yeah, throw a shield in, crush in, then kick. Then after that, walk in a little bit, right? So after, I miss it. I never miss in other game, man. Seriously, it's just this game is a bit odd. So make sure that you walk the distance, walk a little bit, and and do whatever damage that you need. All right. So, man, I did run away and sort of like the animation just killing me. So yeah, okay, walk a bit in and jump back in again. I think I missed that, by the way. You see what I mean? So you have to know when to do certain things, and okay, so this distance should be fine. So okay, that's fine, I got it. Oh man, come on. Okay, so that's done. Save some civilian, get some bubble, but what's the point anyway? All this like not translating into attribute that I want. Okay, let's just continue. Okay, so that is done. Where else is the other side? All right. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like nice and kind of very. It's a bit of awareness, not just like mashing cooldown as and when you you want it and so on. I kind of like this build a lot. The whole unfortunate thing is just the his feel a little bit fragile, and the just DPS not high enough compared to others that are similarly geared. I've tried a lot with him. I think one of you also kind of agree with me in YouTube saying that he's really weak right now. But and normally I'll skip a guide on him, but I understand that for every hero there's always some fans. And since I already spent so much time studying how to squeeze the very last bit of DPS or survivability from him, then I may as well do a video for you guys. Alright, so I hope you enjoy it. This is really for the fans. I understand some of you may be disappointed. I am very disappointed and shocked, actually, both. Disappointed and shocked. Come on, man, die. Okay, so let's go. But I mean, you see the potential is there. If not for so fragile and so weak in terms of DPS, the potential is there. It's really fun. I like this build a lot. There's a lot of you have to observe the shield. You have to make sure you bleed the target, and after that you have to do all this pain tolerance management and do a little bit of movement and go back in again. Make sure you don't miss anything because you look bad on TV. So yeah, I mean that from that regard, I kind of like him a lot. I mean, even this build itself. I know that some of you like to do a range, but I really feel that Taskmaster with the sword himself, that should really do sword, man. I mean, that's Task. See, I missed that one. You see what I mean? Sometimes it does require a little bit of skill. So you feel immensely satisfied if you can keep at it and don't miss anything. See, it bounced between the two targets. Yeah, come on, man. That's it. Okay, that's it. Done. The good old days. Good old days. So I'm going to do an ultimate here after I've done this guy here. Okay, so this, I don't know why I can't do ultimate, really. Garcillian, nope. Why am I not able to do ultimate? Oh, now I can, really. Very strange game, man. Sometimes it just... Whoa, I got a field splinter, triple splinter. How lucky I am, huh? Wow, this is hurting me. I think there's a debuff somewhere on the ground. I can't really see it though. I mean, this sort of thing. Again, things I can't see in this game. So I think he has a black kind of void in the ground, but I just can't really see anything in this game. How do you manage to see all these things seriously? In and then go back in again. So yeah, that. Alright, so I hope that is it and done. Thank you very much for watching. And that is what Garcillian has done to my favorite hero, Taskmaster. Alright, so I think in short, agree or disagree, I think his design needs some work on, definitely. There's still quite a lot of work need to be done for Taskmaster. How to improve? Well, I mean, the very first thing is that I sincerely feel that either A, give him an archetype that makes sense, true archetype, and forget about this jack of all trades because it's so hard to balance, right? Or the attribute, any attribute will give 4%, provided that the attribute is geared or from the infinity system or from the hero synergy system, right? So any base kind of stat that you have in terms of if you strip all the gears away, reset infinity system and reset synergy system, all the base shouldn't count towards the damage. That one I kind of get it. But any points that you put in, be as infinity system, gear or synergy, should count as 4% as per other heroes out there because everything I put in means something. However, if that can't be done, well, I mean, the third one is that at least the infinity system has to make sense. The point has to be cheaper, a lot cheaper, to compensate for the weak contribution to attribute on damage side. So that is all from my side, and I hope you kind of enjoy whatever you're doing. And if you love Taskmaster, I hope I've done at least a decent job for you. And I hope you kind of try out this build and see whether you like it or not, man. I mean, man, Garcillian. Okay, anyway, see you later. Bye.